Yay!
We're back. I was so stupid because I meant to go onto 4G because my connection's better that way instead of being on Wi-Fi, and instead I pressed airplane mode.
Oh no!
I was just like,
Actually, you're right. I should do not disturb, isn't it?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe I should do that, but maybe I. There we are. I'm back. I haven't messed it up. But yeah, I was like,
Good,
oh, I need to go
good.
on 4G. And then I pressed airplane mode and then it wouldn't connect again. So I was like, no.
It happens.
Yeah.
How are you though?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I've had quite a busy weekend. It's been a busy one, and I think it has for you as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't expect it either. It's kind of I've just been like surfing the wave of
Yeah.
busy and then like yeah, and then you kind of like, wow, it's been a busy one.
Yeah. No,
So
I feel like that as well, and I'm like, is it Monday again tomorrow? Really? Like, no, don't want it. So yeah, no, I'm good. It's just yeah, and this is a really nice way to end off the weekend. Um,
yeah.
so thanks so much for coming on with me and agreeing to do
No,
it.
thank you for having me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm excited. So, okay, we've got some people coming in. I'm just waving at them as they come. Hi guys, welcome. I'm just going to do a little intro about
Yeah.
who I am if people haven't seen me before and don't know who I am or what Woodfield is. And then we can get on into some questions and chatting and stuff like that. So, hi everyone, good evening, and thank you for joining us on this live. If you've never seen me before, my name is Rosanna, and I am a volunteer with the Woodfield Pavilion. That's the account I'm on right now. And the Woodfield is a community centre based on Tooting Common in South London. If you haven't heard of us before, the pavilion is run by a charity called the Woodfield Project. And I am actually a trustee of that charity as well. And we aim to develop the pavilion as a centre for local communities and schools to share in culture, health, well-being, as well as to champion sustainability and the natural environment of the Tooting Commons. I've also been volunteering with Woodfield since the start of the year, and I've been running a monthly sewing session with them. And during lockdown, I did this virtually every 2 weeks, which was really nice. We had a little sort of group of people. It's knitting, crocheting, embroidering online. It was really nice. And we also, in the summer, started an Instagram live cook along series where chefs around the world would cook a dish live on our Instagram for viewers to follow along with. And I was really interested in that idea and creating a similar sort of stitch along series with video tutorials and chats with inspiring makers. And if you've joined before, in August, I spoke to Emily Rowan and her amazing Stitch Therapy Club. Yes, last month I spoke to Fast Fashion Therapy about their amazing mending. And I'm very excited tonight to be joined by the wonderful Shikira of Kreative Shack. Yeah.
Yay.
I'm a big fan of your work, Shikira, and
Oh, thank
I feel
you.
very lucky tonight to be speaking with you and even getting a live punch needle demonstration with you. That's very kind of you to offer to do that. It's a craft I have never done myself, and I don't even understand how to do it. I watch your videos, I watch people's videos, and I was like, how, like, it sort of looks quite magical, just sort of like
Mm,
so that
yeah.
is very, very exciting. Just to say to everyone before we kick off, if you have any questions, do put them in the chat and I will do my best to read them and relay them so Shikira can answer. I can see that Facebook, Instagram Live has changed its setup a little bit, and I can actually see the comments a lot. I can see the comments a lot better than before, so that's quite handy. But first, it would be great, Shikira, if you could introduce yourself, tell us a bit more about you, who you are, where you're based, your background, things like that.
So, my name's Shikira, of course. I live in South London with my two boys. I've got two boys, one 5 and 10. And I created this little business after I had finished doing teaching secondary.
Mm-hmm.
It was just before I had my first son, and I thought to myself, I don't think I really want to return to school anymore. I think I couldn't even just imagine going to work full time with two children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll be able to cope. So I created my little idea. And yeah, it's been kind of just evolving over time. So I could say that I have genuinely always been creative. As a child, I mean, children are naturally just creative anyway. But then when I studied art and textile, I had an amazing textile department at my secondary school. So I was able to do all kinds of stuff in there. And because now I know that not all schools have access to like good teachers in textiles and art.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky. And then from there, I went on to do a BTEC in art and design, dabbled in a few different areas, photography, graphic design. And then I just thought, no, I like print, I like textile. So I went on to university and studied there. And I've also like gone through lots of different careers. So I've a holistic therapist, trained holistic therapist. I worked in recruitment because I thought that I wanted to be a recruitment consultant, or I just wanted to work in corporate world, and then understood that actually like my background on paper is not actually respected. So I've struggled to like get jobs in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And or even just fitting into office life as well. It just wasn't me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then after I just decided to be a teacher, and then after that I decided I don't want to be a teacher in a school.
Yeah.
So yes, and here I am today.
Amazing. And you have your own company, Creative Pursuit. Yeah. How did Creative Pursuit get started, and why also that name? I'm interested in that name, the pursuit. You know, like searching for something about the journey.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that.
So whilst I was teaching, I moved into teaching in a school which is called they call it the SEBD school, which is a school for social, emotional, and behaviour disorders. So I was really intrigued by these children. They were not really able to. They like the idea of just giving them a piece of paper and saying, "Okay, this is what we're going to do today." It like freaked them out, and they would just be like, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. And I couldn't understand where that was coming from, because I know like I give my son a piece of paper and he'll just do anything. He might cut it up, he might, but these kids didn't like that. And I was working with a lot of psychologists as well, and it was the idea that having so much freedom to be able to create for these children, some of them, was just too much. They needed to have to be guided in a restricted kind of way. So like when I taught in mainstream, I used to get really annoyed because everything was in a form kind of format. Like you're teaching resistant materials and you have a form to fill in, and you have a space to do a mood board, you have questions to answer. I was like, what is this? We used to just get given a piece of paper and you had to make it great. These children got forms to fill in, and they're being creative within the confinement of a box on this piece of paper. And I was just like, what's happened to our children? What's happening? What is this? So I became really intrigued with that and really started tapping in as well to my own creativity, because before that I was working in recruitment, and I kind of had lost a lot of my like I wasn't really doing much creatively myself, and it was getting me down. So I thought, okay, let's explore this, and that's how I started my creative pursuit. And of course the name, I just thought, we're going to call it a creative pursuit, because it's a journey that we're going on. So then what happened was I got pregnant, had my child, And I had a friend who's also an artist, and we were always complaining of the same thing. We never get time to do art. We never get time to paint. We never get time to draw. So we set ourselves a commitment to each other that we would do one doodle a day, and it doesn't matter how long we spend, even if it's just 10 minutes, even if it's just a scribble, it doesn't matter. We're going to commit, and we set up a little WhatsApp thing, and we just WhatsApp each other our doodle for the day, and it was great. It was like therapy.
Yeah.
And so I just became interested in this. Okay, so creativity as therapy now. This is because you do stuff. I don't think consciously I hadn't created stuff consciously being aware of how it was making me feel mentally.
Yeah.
You just stuff.
Yeah.
So suddenly there was this, oh my God, like this is making me feel really good. Like I'll be sitting there, even if I'm just like the kids are running around and I've just got 10 minutes on the kitchen side and I'm just doodling. But I'm in this moment creating this, whatever it is, and it's making me feel really good. So then I started to look into this and psychology theory of flow and experiencing this and what it can do for our mental health. And it's just changed my whole outlook on what creativity can really give us as individuals, how it can help us as a preventative to other mental health. And it's been my journey as well. It's not just the business. For me, I've grown. I've really like become a different woman just through being able to explore this. And I'm getting all emotional.
Well, it's an emotional subject, and I appreciate you being so open about it as well, because I think that more now than ever there's a lot more of these conversations happening in terms of people's mental health struggles especially with lockdown. There's a lot of feeling out of control and helpless, and people have told me that they have turned to particularly craft, but the arts in general. They sort of either pick something up that they used to do, or they've started something new as a way to cope and to like make something and to embody something. And it's interesting you talk about this theory of flow. Do you think you could describe that a bit more? It just sounds really interesting. It's probably a bit in depth.
So flow is it's a psychologist theory where basically our brains can only focus on one thing at a time. So what happens is you choose a task, and you can feel flow even if you find cooking enjoyable, then you can feel flow through cooking. If you find cleaning enjoyable, then you find flow in cleaning. But what happens is, so you've got all this stress and anxiety and stuff like that going on, and you commit yourself to saying, right, I'm going to complete this task. And whilst you're in the process of doing that task, you're not able to then also think about whatever stresses and anxieties it is that you've got going on. So it suppresses your thought process of those things. You can also lose all sense of time as well. So you could be cleaning until like, oh my God, I haven't eaten. And we've all experienced this, but without even realizing that there's a term for it. So you lose all sense of time. You're not able to then also focus at the same time, focus your attention on your stresses, because you're totally focused on whether it is you're knitting or sewing or writing, you're focused on that. And so then from there, you can then start to experience a sense of accomplishment, which is all then linked to like the science of happiness. So accomplishment, you feel proud of yourself, and it just boosts self-esteem as well. And so if you even just did that for 10 minutes, you can imagine, like, because I was feeling really rubbish, like my stomach was all over the place, so tired, and you want to be a really good mum, and you just feel like I can't spread myself this way and that way, and then suddenly for 10 minutes I've just achieved something. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm just doing stuff to get through the day, to get the kids down to bed. You've achieved something, one thing of the day, and you just go on the next day, you do the same thing, but you have that sense of achievement again. And so it just keeps growing. You just keep adding to that and adding to that. And I was just doing, I didn't even, because the other thing as well is that I think people get stuck in, oh, I need to have the equipment. So I need to have pencils, I need to have paints and the paintbrush. No, you don't need to. Just pick up a biro and an envelope, an old envelope, and just do a doodle.
Yeah.
Just sit there and just doodle. So yeah, and then also there's the other thing that says that people who doodle, like whilst in meetings and stuff, they take in more than somebody who's just sitting there. So there's all these scientific things that go against the culture that we've grown up in and that we understand, and we've like suppressed those things because we think we've got to be like analytical mind and stuff, but actually it's all of those things that we've kind of put to the side that we really need to be a happier place. So yeah, I think I've explained fully.
and to be honest with you, because when you were talking before as well about, you know, you love teaching but you weren't happy teaching in secondary school, and to me it seems like your work, Creative Pursuit, is a platform for alternative forms of teaching, right? Yeah. That where you don't have to fit into a box, you don't have to fill out a form, and I think especially with the arts, because yeah, you're right. I mean, I did textiles at school, and I enjoyed it, but I remember, you know, a friend of mine, I think she's in the audience now, I mean, she did history of art at school, but that was taken, like, it stopped. They stopped teaching it, like, I think she might have even been the last year or something. They just don't have a history of art anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if lots of places don't have textiles anymore. I did applied art at my A level, so more sort of like, we had a brief, so it's sort of like commercial, a bit more commercial art, but that didn't last very long either. And also the fact that it's really interesting, you're saying like the kids just sort of lost their mind a bit when they just had this freedom to create, because we're just not given that, I don't think, at school, because you have, you know, at uni anyway, you have to write an artist statement, you have to make a portfolio. It's sort of like you have to tick all these things to be presented with a blank sheet of paper. It can be really overwhelming, and I think there's a level of like vulnerability as well in that, you know, I've got quite a few friends that teach, some in secondary school, and I've done a bit like workshops, and it's always, you know, miss, can you do it for me? You do it so much better than me. I'm not very good at drawing, and it's heartbreaking, because it's like you don't have to draw a realistic portrait of someone to be creative or to be good at art. And I find that as well, even with textiles, I think as well, when I teach sometimes, I'm like, here's a blank bit of fabric, do what you want, and people are like, you know, oh, but it's not going to be good enough. You know, it's not going to be good enough. My ideas aren't worthy of experiencing. Yeah. Do you find that as well?
Yes, and we set ourselves these limiting beliefs in ourselves that, oh, it's not going to be good enough. Oh, I don't, you know, the same things. I don't have the right equipment, so it's not going to be good enough. Or it's not going to be as good as. I remember I taught one lesson because I was so like, I was just frustrated, and so my lessons in this school, it became a thing of trying to break these children, trying to crack, like, I need to understand, how do I get to you? And so I did this lesson where I showed them all these pictures of different artists who, like, they ranged from like scribbled childlike drawings to collage with like stick men and stuff, and they were like, oh, that's crap, that's crap, that's crap. And it's like, do you know who these like, these are world-renowned artists, and so just because it doesn't look like a Michelangelo or whatever, it's not good enough. Like, who sets these ideas?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really interesting because as well, like you're saying about self-esteem, like my son as well, he when he started to do drawing, and he's always drawn, but he had that thing of like, oh, I want to draw a car, can you draw it? So I can't do it very well, and then it's a process of, okay, well, if you know how in your head you want this car to look, so what can we put in place to build ourselves up towards that? And so I said to him, just trace it. And he was like, what? Well, I could trace it. Like he didn't even think, you could just trace it. It's fine.
Yeah, because it would be
Trace
like
it. And
cheating or something, like you're not doing it
exactly,
properly.
no,
Yeah.
exactly. But you could trace it and then see, and then, and he's built on his skills from there, from tracing to then understanding the shapes that you're seeing, space and width between lines and whatever. And you get to a place, it's like we want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
As soon as we start something, we want to see it
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And that's the society that we've become, hasn't it? It's like we want it
Yes.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of these things kind of affect it. It's so crazy because art is just, it's all of these things. It's self-esteem, it's your well-being, it's so many things, because you have to fight through fears of not feeling good enough if it doesn't look like that person sitting next to you, or the idea that you had in your head, if it doesn't look, and then you have to break through that.
Yeah.
And actually say, well, this is who I am and I'm okay with that, and I can build on this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. It's amazing just through art, the kind of the emotions that you can go through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just doing art.
Yeah, and I think it's also, the classic people would say, yeah, either a doodle might be crap, or I could do that. And actually it's like that, yeah, you can, and that's great, because the thing about art is that I really just believe that everybody is creative in some way. It's not, I don't like this idea that, I think people can build on and master their craft, but I don't like the idea that it's some sort of elitist, inaccessible thing that you have to, again, as you say, tick a load of boxes to be a part of, because that's what these school kids are being fed in a way that's like, well, if I can't draw like Michelangelo, then it's not art and it's not good enough. If my drawing isn't that standard, then I'm not creative and I'm not very good or something.
Yeah.
Whereas actually it's like, I think art should be for everyone, and actually the beauty is in the diversity within that and the difference, like
Exactly.
Yeah, but you yourself, you do a lot of different crafts. Can you tell us a bit about those, and do you have a favorite? Did you learn them at uni? Are you self-taught?
So I think I probably say that I'm self-taught, but I started, so with my embroidery, I started embroidery in secondary, and we had to set our own briefs. It was like final major project for GCSE, and we had to set our own briefs. And I loved like all of the beading work. There was lots of like Dolce Gabbana, they were the diamantes, and this kind of very ornate patterns and stuff, and I really loved all of that, and my teacher was amazing. And in fact, I saw her the other day in Brixton Market at the fabric shop, and I just started crying because I was like, oh my God, she was amazing. She was the best teacher anyway.
Oh, I bet that meant so much to her though. I bet she
because I haven't seen her since I left.
Oh my God.
And she, like, we worked together. She helped me to get into London College of Fashion, and I hadn't seen her, since then. And I heard her voice. She was talking to the guy at the counter, and I heard this voice, and I was like, and I couldn't see her because she had her mask on. But I just waited, and then I said, "Excuse me, are you Mrs. Blacko?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "You're my textiles teacher." And she was like, "Oh," you could tell she was a bit awkward, like, "Oh, I don't remember you." And I took my mask down, and she was like, "Oh, what's your name?" And I said, "Shikira." And she said, "I remember you."
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh my God, it was horrible because we couldn't hug.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So nice to see her, because I've just always wondered where she had been.
Yeah.
And what she looks like and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she got me into London College fashion. But what I did to get in there was I created a pair of trousers, and they were going to be worn in a premiere or something like that. So I did a few different, it was like a patchwork thing. And I must get it out of storage actually. I embroidered my name um, with a sewing machine on one of the patches. I did like some sequined kind of pattern on another square, and then I put diamantes on it. I put like different stitching here and there. Oh, they were just the best trousers.
They sound
And
amazing.
they were so good. I need to get them out of storage. And I just did it on one leg as well. So I put all this effort into the one leg, and it was just like blinging. And that's what got me into London College of Fashion from then. And I have to say though, my time at London College of Fashion wasn't the best time of my life,
Fair enough,
to
yeah.
be honest. And you know, like what you're saying about that elitist kind of the environment, I just felt it was just I didn't fit. I just didn't fit. And I'm not saying it wasn't. It's not an amazing. It is amazing for what they do. It just wasn't a fit for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to Southwark College, and I had the best teacher there. Oh my God, the best. She was the best. She just let me do whatever I want. I could do beading. We did felting, like we did print, we did paper making, we did everything. And it was like the best course as well, because you just had to explore all of this different range of different crafts, and then at the end choose to specialize in one. And so that's really where I got an experience of doing so many different types of crafts. So yeah, so then when I moved on, so I suppose, yeah, I've gone through it, but in a kind of a controlled way, where I had like experts or my teachers kind of just guiding me through, but they just let me do whatever I wanted to do. And I was just glad to be on the ride, like doing paper making, things that you would never think of, like and especially at the age that I was, because I was only like 16. I didn't know anything about paper making or carding felt and stuff like that. I didn't know anything about that. And to be exposed to it as well, that's the other thing. Like, in schools, I don't think there's enough exposure, and it's because of, it's all the budget, it's all the politics of school, that you're just not able to explore the world of there's so many different things that you can do, and kind of just stick to the same ceramics, art, painting, but when you get a course like this and you can just try everything, it's the best. So yeah, that's what I got to just try everything. The only thing I didn't master was knitting and crochet, and that's still on my list to master. I will get there.
Well, I know my mum's in the audience, and she likes knitting. I've personally never. I was talking to someone about this yesterday. I was like, yeah, I seem to make stuff that isn't actually useful. Like, I make stuff that's like pretty. I've never really made. I can't really make anything that's of any use. Like my mum can, like knit a top or something. I'm like, I can make the top look nice. But
and that's all that matters.
To me, I enjoy it. It's fine. And in your Instagram bio, you say that you aim to get more people of colour out in crafty spaces, and you talk a lot about people of colour being represented in crafts specifically. And so I'd like to hear from you why this is so important. Like, why is this a thing? Why does this need to be a thing?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I suppose, and this has been a topic that I have been exploring myself as a person of colour, because weirdly enough, I didn't really know what racism looked like. I didn't really know if I had it really experienced it. Where I live, it's predominantly middle class. I was one of 5 other Black people in my class at primary school, probably the same also in university, and I think we had 3 when I was at London College of Fashion in my class. But I didn't really, I just thought, and it was until I sat down and I thought to myself, gosh, like things like, like when you get name tags at the seaside,
Yeah.
I was never able to buy my name because I wasn't called Jane or Zoe or whatever.
Yeah.
Things like that used to trouble me, but you can't do anything about it as a child because your name's not there, so you can't have it. So when I came back now to doing embroidery, and that was even, I can't even remember how that happened, because I was doing a lot of print, and then suddenly I thought, oh, I'm going to just sew something. So I started sewing, and I was doing some Egyptian thing. I just drew it out, and I thought, oh, and I love looking at Pinterest and going through and seeing all of the different types of patterns and stuff, but never ever seen anybody of color in those pictures. So I thought, I need to make something for myself. So I created the Black Girl StitchUp piece, which is, I have it up here actually, which is this piece here. I
Beautiful.
created this piece, and this was just me, I was just leisurely just creating. And then I thought, I think it was a friend of mine said, oh my God, you need to share that. No, people would just definitely do that. And I was like, really, do you think so? And so I put it out there, and people really wanted to come and learn how to do it. So I thought, I think this is I'm onto something here. Maybe other people are feeling the same way that I am. And but then also I had been doing workshops for about 3 years before, and I didn't realize that, and it might sound weird, but I didn't realize that I was mostly only the only person in the room of color, and I didn't realize that. And when I was thinking back, I thought I can actually count how many black people I've had in my classes over the last 3 years. This is not really very good. Where are they? Because I know they craft, because my grandparents, it's not something that doesn't happen in our house. So why are we not coming out and doing this? So I created that workshop. I also did a Black Women's Forum conference, and I thought that would be a great space for me to speak to loads of women in colour and ask them why they don't go to craft workshops. And we sat down. I think I had about 20 women. We were all just sewing, and I was just amazed at the responses, because I had never even thought about it. I go to workshops, I don't even think about who's going to be there. I just go because I really like to craft. But for other women of color, that's not enough for them to feel comfortable that they're going into space. They had said things like, oh, I've been working in an office, I work for a local authority government, and I've been working in a space, an all white space, for the whole day, and go into another space, which I don't know what it's going to be like, that's just going to be exhausting, and I'd rather not spend my leisure time doing that. So that's really, I just don't even, it's not that I don't want to go, I really want to go, but I just can't. I'm just exhausted by that time. And I didn't understand also what that exhaustion, what is that? And through listening to some of the talks and stuff, then I was understanding. And then I was able to relate some of those experiences that other women were talking about to like my own life experiences, and saying to myself like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought that was just life. I didn't know that was something that comes with being a black person. I didn't know that. Like, this is me only just a few years ago saying this to myself, and I was just like, this is wow.
Yeah.
I was saying to my friends, I'm embarrassed because I didn't know that was a thing of being black. I didn't know that. There's me thinking that's just life, but and my friend was saying to me that I should really like blog these things down, but I'm so embarrassed. I'm kind of embarrassed. I mean, I'm talking about it now. I feel like it's a safe space, but that's the whole thing of representation in crafts,
Mm-hmm.
and also there's that conversation around knitting, people of color in knitting, and I had stumbled across that conversation, and I was just blown away. I was like, I didn't even know that this was a big conversation with, you know, major companies, knitting companies and fashion brands, and I didn't even know this,
Mm.
and I'm just amazed. So I'm glad to be able to do it, be able to do my bit, just to help, even if it's small.
Yeah.
But I think it's necessary, and I think it's helping a lot of women of color as well. It's so nice when they come to the classes, and they're able to just speak and talk about things that they don't feel comfortable talking in a white space. And it's just weird because I just didn't even think of it. I
Yeah.
didn't even know that, you know. So I through that I've learnt the importance of having spaces for people of color to feel comfortable in, because there's a whole lot of issues going on.
Yeah.
But you know what is a good thing is through this lockdown, that it has kind of brought all of these unspoken of issues, brought them up to the surface. And I hope that with all this Black Lives Matter movement going on, that we'll be able to just have more conversations, because
Mm-hmm.
really that's all it is. We just need to have more conversations about how we feel, both black and white,
Yeah.
so that, because it's just understanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
You guys, as a white woman, you don't understand how I feel as a black woman, and I don't understand how you feel as a white woman. So I don't know your background, how, you know, your perceptions, and same vice versa. But if we don't talk about it, then we don't learn from it, and
Mm.
then it just keeps going on. So I hope that with all this stuff that's going on, that it will just only just bring us all together so we can get on with stuff.
No, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Let's just get on with it.
No, I really appreciate you talking about that because, yeah, you're so right. I don't know, um, about your experience or the experience of just of being black, a black woman, and I don't think I've ever had a black person attend one of my workshops, to be honest. And it's, something I've thought about. I'm like, oh my, even with gender as well, like gender's another thing where it's like I'd never had
Yeah,
a man either. And
yeah, horribly.
we did talk a little, me and Fast Fashion Therapy talked a little bit about this as well, of like how craft is so heavily gendered as well. And, I've been thinking like, oh, how do I make my audience more diverse? But it's interesting hearing you say that, where it's like, well, if someone doesn't want to come because they wouldn't feel whatever I did, if they didn't feel comfortable in that space, then that's totally fine. I can't force anybody to come. And I think it's really important that there are spaces where people can feel comfortable, and like with the Black Girls StitchUp workshop, where there is actually somewhere where people feel comfortable and be able to speak and not add to their exhaustion, because that's something
Yeah.
that I've never thought about either. Like, I'm not I'm never a minority in my office or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like it's not the same exhaustion, and that's something that I would never think about. So
What's so lovely as well is that we get, it's a mix. So I get loads of white women as well coming, but they want to talk. They want to stand up and they want to talk about it. It's really refreshing because, do you know, I met a woman, and I said to her, oh, I don't know if there's a need for all black spaces. And she was like, this is a white woman. And she said, no, you have to have your own spaces. And I was like, oh, well, if she's saying it, then maybe I need to look into this a bit more.
mm-hmm.
Um, but there are people out there that have a great understanding about what is happening, and it's uncomfortable. I think it's uncomfortable for everybody, but in order to get past and to get to a smooth surface, we got to push past those jaggedy bits
Yeah.
and just have the conversations. And I think some people are like, oh, yeah, it's just exhausting. I just don't feel like doing it. But I think without, without saying, without being insensitive to those who feel that way, and that is absolutely fine. For those who feel like, because I know I've had some of my friends say to me, like, I don't want a white person to ask me how do I feel or what can they do to help the situation. I don't feel like I should do that. They need to go and find out for themselves.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. But I also think that we have to help each other. And if before that no, you know, nobody was willing to have the conversation because it was too uncomfortable, now we're prepared to. So then maybe we do need to stand up and help to support those conversations instead of moving away from them.
Yeah.
But there's two sides to it, and and also the thing is that you don't know, I don't know what other people have experienced in terms of, like, I know that my experiences of racism are not as bad as another person, because I didn't even notice it was happening. So, you know, for another person who was sensitive to it, it's a big deal for them. So whilst I can say, oh, I can sit down in front of white people and talk about racism, that's fine. But for them, it's really traumatizing.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it's difficult, but we're going to get there.
Yes.
That's the main thing. We
Yes.
are going to get there.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love that, because from what I see of your work and the workshops that you do, you know, there's representation literally in the work that you are making, in your embroidery and your punch needle designs and your screen printing that I've seen. But there's also about the representation, you know, in the room, and people having their own space to make their own work. It's not just about, it's not that surface thing of like, look, there's, you know, there's a black person in this, in my artwork. It's like you are actually creating spaces where people can be like involved in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Representation and involvement is really, really
Yeah.
important.
It's really important. It's really, really important. You can't just, like, and I'm intrigued as well for the because I don't know, maybe if I was a white woman coming to a workshop to create a piece that is called Black Girl Stitch Up, maybe I wouldn't feel confident. But those women that do come, they just want to be a part of the movement, and they wanna help, and
I
I
want to
just love
come.
it. Love
I
it.
want to
Yeah.
come, because to be honest with you, because I wasn't sure if it was, because I'm absolutely pro people having their own spaces. I think it's important as well. So I wasn't sure if it is just for black women to be involved in. But if it's open, then I'd definitely love to come. It'd be great. It'd be great to meet you and
Yeah.
yeah, make something different that I've never made before. So yes, that is amazing. I guess it must be, is it a bit difficult right now with lockdown? Like, has that changed things for you?
Yes, I'm still trying to figure it all out. Like, people have said, like, you was doing some virtual ones, and I've done a few virtual, but I was really against it. I was like, no, you need to be in a room, you need to feel people's energies. I need to be able to, like, you know, interact with people and help them with their stitching if they can't. How am I supposed to help someone that can't do a French knot? How am I supposed to do that from behind a screen? I can't do that, and I was really against it. But I've done a couple, and I'm like, okay, not so bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny you say French knot, because without fail that will be the one. With like, I was literally doing a little recording earlier, and I've got like this practice hoop with lots of
Yeah,
stitching, and you can see the amount of
that
different
looks so good.
the different French knots that I've done from different times with the different colours, because it's always like, can you show me how to do that little bobbly thing? And
Yeah,
it's like, yes. That's
yeah,
always the one that people want. But I would say, like, you know, it's not the same, it isn't the same, but it is, people still enjoy it.
yeah,
And I did manage to show someone how to do a French knot on on Zoom as much as I could. It's all very like, you've got to sort of be like this.
yeah,
So it's like a different skill, but it is, people appreciate it as well, because I mean, it's like, it's either literally right now, especially going into tier 2, it's sort of that or nothing. That's how I see it. And it's like I'd rather
Yeah.
there be something, if it's even if it's not the same, just
Yeah.
for that, yeah, that distraction, and as well just taking it out of your sort of daily life to just make something, as we were talking about in the
Yeah.
beginning. But I'm very aware of the time, and I know that Instagram will kick us off after an hour.
Oh, do they?
They
Okay.
do, they do. So, and I can see your latest punch needle design in the background there, which is on lovecrafts.com. I'll put all of that in the caption. It would be amazing if you could talk us through it. What is punch needle, and is it
So,
quick? A lot
as
of
you
people say
told
to
me,
me, about embroidery, they're like, oh, I don't have the patience for embroidery. And while that's I could talk them into doing it, it's maybe embroidery isn't for them, and they want something quicker and to get that sense of
quick.
accomplishment. They
And in
don't.
fact, I'll thread my needle whilst you're talking, because
Yeah,
maybe if I just I can just show you guys just how quick it is.
yeah, I saw
Um,
your little video.
and
I
you
was
just,
just like, wow, this is.
yeah, you can just it just starts just like that. And then you're like, oh my God, I've just filled a whole bit. I want to keep going.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
this is your punch needle. And I
Wow.
use the chunky one. You can get these in different sizes. So you can get ones with cloth, which is like smaller, but this one's quite thick.
Yeah.
And this one fits your chunky yarns
Hmm.
in, or even your double knit as well. So you thread it in. I've had to make myself a little makeshift needle threader.
Oh,
The
really? Yeah, I've got
yeah,
mine here.
yeah.
They are a godsend. Like, and
Oh
so
my God,
many people have never heard of one.
I
Um,
know.
like
Or they don't know what it
they
is
don't know what it is. Yeah,
in the sewing kit. They don't know what it is.
yeah. They're like, oh, I have one of those in my little sewing kit, but I've never known what it is. And it's like, yeah, it looks a bit sort of scary, but they are a godsend. I always talk about needle
Yeah.
threaders.
I see people like on Instagram and how quick they can just thread a needle, but I'm rubbish. I
No.
can't just thread a needle
And
like
it
that.
depends on the thread sometimes as well. If you've got really sort of like fluffy thread, it's not gonna work. So yeah, sometimes I find myself trying to do it by eye, really struggling, and I'm like, what am I trying to prove?
Yeah,
I've got
I
one
tried
right
to. I was
here.
doing that yesterday. I was like, nah, this isn't working. Get the needle thread
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Get it
yeah.
out.
It's like, why am I
Um,
struggling here?
so with your punch needling and with this one here is um an adjustable punch needle. So it has like, I think the lighting is not very
Oh, I
good,
see. Yeah.
but you have different levels of hoop on there, of
Okay.
loop. So you can create really long loops like this, or really short loops like
Okay.
that. So
Yeah, I see
I
that.
don't know if you can see, oh, that's better.
Oh, okay.
So
So on
really
like
long
on the
ones.
same threader, you can create different lengths. You don't.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you would just adjust your punch needles. They have like four different sizes,
Mhm.
and you just adjust it. And then what happens is the actual needle itself, it either gets taller like that,
Mhm.
or it gets shorter.
Oh wow.
So this one is the smallest loop, and actually I think for this one, I think I did, because the on the other side, so this is all flat stitches, this piece,
Mhm.
but you can, on the other side, it's this really nice carpety kind of
Oh
pile, which is
wow.
really lovely on the other side.
Oh, it
And
almost
you
looks
can
like it
use,
just like looks reversible. Like you could have
yeah,
either.
it is really, I've you can create like carpets like this, I swear.
Yeah.
That is the other name for it, isn't it? Rug,
Oh, is this
um,
rag rugging or whatever? Is that? Or is that something different?
rug hooking,
Oh, rug
or
hooking.
yeah, I think so you could, because you could, what you can do is you could trim the loops, so then you
Oh
just get
yeah. Oh, that looks
nice
so
little carpety
nice.
kind. Yeah, so these are all different. These are the different, length hoops.
Yeah.
This is the bigger one, and I've just trimmed the all of the loops, so it's like a nice carpet, and it's got just
Wow.
nice texture to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
So I always use a chunky yarn.
Mhm.
Um, but you can use anything. So long as your thread can go through your needle nicely, you can use it, because what it is because you need the yarn to be able to just glide through the needle.
Okay.
So you want to always keep your yarn loose and just so it can unravel by itself.
Yeah.
So where did I put I had a hoop that, oh, here it is. And then also something that I didn't talk about in my video are the types of other kind of frames that you can use as well. So this is a smaller one to that frame here. And this is just like, you use this for embroidery as well.
Yeah.
One of those clip frames.
Okay, yeah.
So you can just put your monk's cloth on that and create a picture, or even if you wanted to do like a cushion of a shape, and you've got the shape in here, or those little plush teddy things.
Yeah.
You draw it onto your fabric, put it on there, and then cut around it once it's all punched.
Wow.
And everything. So here's my hoop. So I'm just gonna do a demo from this angle.
Yeah. I know, it's always strange, isn't it?
There we go. That's better lighting.
And what fabric is it? Is there? Do you have to use a specific fabric?
This is monk's cloth, and it's kind of like an look closely. Oh no, there's the camera.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like an
okay, yeah.
But it's much softer. It's much softer, and it's basically an open weave fabric. So you can use linen, so long as it's open weave. And you could experiment and try with it. This one here is a linen.
Okay.
And but sometimes with some linens, what I find is it makes a hole in it, and I had explained it in my video. When you punch, it just makes a hole. Okay. But with this one, it holds the stitches in nicely. So long as you don't make a mistake, it's fine. Okay. But if you make a mistake, then that's another thing. You've got to start again. But with the monk's cloth, it recovers. Okay. You know, like just like a cutting mat. Yeah. When you score, it just, it's just like that. Yeah. So I'll show you if I go. There we go. That's better lighting. So you just punch your needle in like that. Yeah. You're just going to glide your needle along the top of the fabric like that. Wow. And you just work like in a circular motion. And also you see this eye that we have here where the end of the knee. So you want to keep that circle bit facing the direction. So you just turn your work around. I see. Yeah. So you're always going in that direction. Just like that. It's so quick. Wow. It's amazing. Okay, so you come to the end of your work, say it's all full, and then you would just pull that out there and give it a snip with your scissors. Where did I put the scissors? There it is. And I hope these are sharp ones. So you would just give that a snip like that. Yeah. And then you'll probably end up with a piece with lots of these little bits of thread, these bits of yarns hanging out. Okay. And so you would just snip those off once it's all finished, depending on what size you want. So say you did a drawing, and also you can use the loops to become part of your design. So say like this one that I've got, I still haven't finished it. That's what I was talking about. You have a finished piece with lots of these little tails. Yeah. You just trim them right down close to the right down close to where the stitches are. Wow. So there's not really any sort of like casting off process. You just literally cut it. That's it. Wow. Oh my god! You just sit there going like embroidery. Oh, it's so good. Wow. And then you see if you make a mistake. Oh wow! So that's what happens. But when I was talking about the holes, that's what happens. But then with your monk's cloth, and this doesn't really happen with your linen, you just go like that.
Oh, and it recovers.
And then you go again.
Wow. That is incredible.
So it's just the perfect, it's so good. You just need a punch needle and some monk's cloth.
Yeah.
And a yarn. And then you're away. You can do whatever. And
wow.
It's just so quick and simple.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, she's moved to Senegal, and she wanted to do some craft, and she kept saying she's going to do embroidery. But then we went to the park, and I took this with me, and I was doing it, and she was like, "Oh, can I give it a try?" And first of all, she was like, "Oh no, I don't want to, because I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up." Oh no, you can't mess it up. Just do it. I showed her how to do it, and she was like, "Oh my God, I have to do this. I have to get some of this stuff before I go."
Yeah.
So I bought her as a gift. I gifted her some monk's cloth and punch needle and some yarn. So I hope she's getting on with it. But it's so quick. You can just
because a lot of people do say to me, they're just like, "Oh, I don't know how you're that patient to do embroidery and things like that." And but punch needle looks like you can just
so quick.
get more instant gratification, I suppose, or just
exactly.
like if you're low on time, it means that you can still make something. And also I bet it's quite satisfying just sort of like piercing it through the you've had a bad day, you're just like, ugh.
It really is. And what's nice as well, like say I did a Christmas thing of a reindeer. So I drew on one side the reindeer, but I wanted the nose to like stick out. So all I did was I just did all my flat stitches. So I stitched flat stitches this way, and then I turned it over on the wrong side to stitch the nose. So then all of my fixed pile will come out on this side. So it's got a nice little nose that sticks out.
So nice.
I sent it off to the company to because they're going to feature it. So that's a secret.
Okay. But
you can do anything. You could do anything, like just use your stitches as part to make texture. It's such
beautiful. A nice way. Well, I have been given the 2-minute warning, so we have basically a minute left. It's gone so quick.
I could talk to you all day.
Time than that, but But no, we've got just over a minute left. So I want to say thank you so much, Shikira. This has been wonderful. It's been such a great conversation. And I'm going to come along when I can to one of your workshops, and we're both London based, so I hope
we should definitely do a little meetup. Definitely.
That would be lovely.
It's been lovely.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. People can find you at Kreative Shack. I'll tag you in the caption. creativepursuit.com. You've got patterns for sale, workshops, loads of stuff.
There's some free patterns. They're free on my website.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah, I have this pattern, which is free.
I love that. Oh wow, amazing.
So that's on my website now, so go ahead, go and download it.
Download it, people. All right, we've got less than 15 seconds left, so thank you so much, Shikira.
Thank you.
I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and a lovely week.
And
I hope
you.
to see you